Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mission in Motion Live. I am your host, Alice Stevens, and founder of Holistic Elevation Motivational Speaker. Today, we will be joined with Miss Cynthia Pryor from Texas, and she will talk to us. Today, we'll be talking about living with depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideation, and what can we do as a community to help individuals who may be suffering with this disorder. What are some, because we know mental health is a very serious problem that's affecting the entire world. And we'll be talking with Miss Cynthia, who has gone through it. So I will be joining her shortly. She is actually transitioning on duty right now. So I'll be contacting her within a few minutes. But I want you to think very closely. Think very, very well as to, do you know of anyone within your family, your community, whether your school or work, that may be suffering with suicidal thoughts, with depression, or with anxiety? And what can you do to help empower that person, that they do not have those ideation or those thoughts? How can we help motivate or empower someone that they can see themselves enjoying their life living on this earth with us? So I am going to join Miss Cynthia. Yeah, I'm adding Miss Cynthia. She should be coming.
Hello.
Oh, hi. Hi, Miss Cynthia.
Hi.
um, so, Miss Cynthia, tell us a little about yourself.
Wow. I am a mother of six, um, a daughter of, I guess, 12. My mom had 12 kids. And college graduate, high school graduate, now living in Dallas, Texas, and raising a 14-year-old.
Okay, so tell us a little about uh, when were you diagnosed with depression and anxiety?
Um, I was diagnosed with it in my early 20s, but I believe I suffered from it ever since I was a child. Um, because I had issues where my mom would think something's wrong and take me to the doctor, and he would just say something like, she's just stressed out or depressed. So,
Okay. Um, ba Based on your story and things that you have gone through, when you were diagnosed within your 20s, what was it like for your community and your family to embrace or understand that depression and anxiety is a serious issue?
oh wow. As for some of the family members, um, it wasn't very knowledgeable for them because a lot of them thought that I was crazy or, you know, just going through the motions. They didn't understand that it's one of the worst killers that we have. It is a silent killer. Depression hits you when you don't even think that you have it. And people think you can control it, but you can't. It's a lot of times similar to bipolar or schizophrenic people, but manic depression is wow. It's something that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy because you're up and down like a roller coaster, and you have to fight daily to try to control it and take control of it before it takes control of your life.
Okay. When what do you, are you able to identify some of the triggers that increases your depression or anxiety?
Yes. Um, for me, it was mostly family stress and work stress. Anytime something happened that's very significant in my life, it triggers it. Like the death of my mom, which was very important to me. So it triggered it to the point where I really didn't want to live anymore. And, it gets to the point when you're driving down the road and instead of focusing on the traffic, you're focusing on a bridge to take the car off of, or, just ways to, you think you're getting to just get over the pain. But
Mhm.
basically, people think it's a cop out.
Okay. Yes, so I did want to talk about that, but please, if you need some personal time, if you need to step out and
Oh, okay.
get some time, yes, we understand that this is a very sensitive subject, and we really appreciate you opening up to us and sharing with us because throughout the world, people do not realize how serious this problem is and how
Right,
it's affecting many, many people. And
right.
just by you sharing, yeah, just by you sharing this, I really appreciate you opening up about that. So, um, how how many times have you tried harming yourself or committing suicide?
Um, basically, about twice.
Okay.
You know, the last time, which you're familiar with, um, after the situation that I had to deal with my mom, and I end up, you know, being homeless for a little while out here and jobless. And then you have family members that don't understand you and they don't realize that, maybe you can't function like normal people, meaning that what is simple and just common for one person is significant for the next person. It's something that overwhelms you, and the least little thing you say could trigger it. My last attempt wasn't really an attempt to end my life, but it was an attempt to stop the pain. And tragically, it could have ended my life had it not been for Alice making phone calls to my children to check on me.
Yes, and I do remember that story, that event. Would you like to share like because sometimes we do not know. Sometimes it's just that feeling that something is wrong. Because I
Yeah,
was living in Louisiana, you were in Texas.
right. It's like you go into a dark closet, and no matter how you try to open that door, it's so dark inside your heart. You can't get out of bed. You can't go to work. You can't eat. You can't sleep. You just, it's like something just pinning you down, and you don't want to wake up from sleep. You don't want to live because of
Yes.
the pain. You can't take it. And
Thank
doesn't matter what people tell you, you have your children to live for, you have a lot going for you. Sometimes you can't shake that feeling. And if you don't try to pray your way through it and get help, professional help, sometimes you don't ever get out of it. It just goes deeper and deeper. You have a lot of actors that ended up killing themselves, and I can't think of his name. He was the funniest guy ever. He played on Mark and Mindy.
Mhm.
He was a very hilarious guy. Seemed like he was happy all the time. But deep down inside, depression had just kicked his butt, so to speak. Just like me, any other normal person.
Yeah.
True signs are withdrawing yourself from other people, not wanting to deal with other people, not feeling like going to work, wanting to call in sick all the time, not wanting to get up and shower and get dressed and make yourself get out, not wanting to get up and cook, not wanting to do anything,
Yeah.
just sleep your life away.
And that's very important that you said, like just not wanting to do anything. And it is very important that for the viewers out there who's listening, if you know someone who is suffering from depression or anxiety, sometimes the least thing you can do or the most thing you can do is to make a phone call, because I believe like 4 in the morning I used to call you, Miss Cynthia, just to make sure that you're okay. And
Yes.
yes, and sometimes it is not, sometimes it is very important because it allow or it let people know that they have a value on this earth. They are very
Right.
important. And I'm very, very thankful, Miss Cynthia, that you're sharing this earth with us.
I am too. But the main thing is, when you do reach out to people, make sure you try to reach out to someone that'll understand you, because the last thing you need when you're suffering from depression is somebody to bring you down even more. Um, Somebody that don't understand it and think that you have control over it, because you really don't.
Yes, because they have times where individuals who has attempted suicide, you hear many times their family members say, "Oh, it's just attention he or she is
Mhm.
seeking," or "It's not that serious. It's
And
just a little
trust
bit."
me, it's that serious. I don't think that I would know anyone that would want to be depressed, that would want to, feel so miserable inside themselves. I don't see that. If I could change my ups and downs, I would be the happiest person in the world.
Mhm.
You know, on a day-to-day basis, it take a lot for me to get up in the morning, put my smile on, come to work, and let people think it's okay. You
Yes, let
know,
me see that
when you
smile.
when you're bleeding inside.
Can I see that smile? Um, what what some of your thoughts, because we know that depression, anxiety is everywhere, it's up here, and the
Right.
sometimes it's only the symptoms we can see. So can you give us an idea as to what is going on within your brain or for a person with depression?
Well, um, a lot of times when you see somebody that's down and out or whatever, and they're not really talkative or whatever, and you think, well, girl, you can shake yourself out of that. Or you tell them, well, you have your children to live for, you have your mom to live for, your dad, whatever the case may be. In the back of their mind, they're saying, no, I don't. My children would be better off without me. I can't help them. I can't help my mom, or I can't help my dad. If I leave, then they'll be better off, because I get tired of my children, speaking for myself. I get tired of my children have to see me depressed, having to see me crying all the time, or having my mood swings. Because, like I said, if you don't know what depression is, you would confuse it with schizophrenia or bipolar, because you're up and down so much till, people think you're crazy. In which you're not, you're just stressed completely out, and then you don't see the upside of nothing at that point. You can't see the light for the darkness. So
Yes, and that's
thank you.
yes, individuals are saying their love. If you have any questions you'd like to ask Miss Cynthia, please feel free to leave your comments. And we'll be very happy to ask those questions. um, we did ask you about some of the triggers, but I did want to make mention as an adult and you're going through those trials and those difficulties, I do want to let people know we will talk a little about the youth. And because they themselves, there's also a higher rate of youth committing suicide, youth causes concern and rather depression and living in depression and anxiety.
Well, do know that depression is sometimes hereditary.
Mhm.
So, because I've noticed my youngest son and my youngest daughter, they go through it. My daughter was being bullied at school, and then we noticed that she had started cutting herself in the shower. So, I had to take her to the doctor and get help. And like he told us, one of the constant things to do is remind her how beautiful she is, remind her that she can speak her mind, remind her that God put her here for a reason, and nothing anybody say or do can, knock the fact that she's a gorgeous, beautiful child that has a lot to offer people. So,
And let's keep in mind that Miss Cynthia's youngest daughter is 14. So we have people at all different ages going through it. So be open to your neighbors, be open to your friends, whoever you come across. Let us not see each other as strangers, but rather friends we have not met. And by
yeah.
having that mindset, we'll be able to break down the walls that causes isolation, that causes depression, anxiety. Let us build.
And that's mainly what happens with the young people. It doesn't start when you're 30, 40, 50. It starts like my daughter when you're 13, 14 years old. By her being bullied all the time, it caused her to get in that slump of thinking, I'm ugly, I'm better off if I'm not here. And, you know, you have to try to turn it around. You have to get them help. If you're seeing your children not playing with other kids, always in their room, or just laying down all the time. Some of them do the opposite. When I was younger, I ate a lot, and then was still to myself. Now I don't, but kids will eat and do whatever. That's part of depression. That's not like there. And we as parents will go and say, you're fat. You shouldn't be eating so much, and you shouldn't be. Find out what's wrong with that child. Ask them what's wrong. Talk to them, because it could be depression settling in, and the next thing you know, the child, by the time they're 16 or 17, they've committed suicide, you know,
And
because
so,
they felt like they had no one to talk to. They had no one to pay attention to them.
yes, and the hope is for her to come up for the summer and to just run around and have fun, open up the
Right.
house, and because she is family.
Right.
She
And
she is
I
sharing
want
this
her
age
to
with
get
us.
away because, like I said, I don't want her whole childhood to be watching me depressed all the time. That's not what I want for her.
Mhm. Yes. Um, what do you think is important for people to know about suicidal ideation? Oh,
Well, um, first of all, it's not a mean to the it's not a mean to the end. You don't. I mean, it's not something that will solve your problems. Your problems will still be here. So the best thing for you to do is just try to seek some kind of help. If you have a pastor or someone to go to, if you have a best friend you can just talk to that understands you and don't judge you, you have to get help. Period. You can't be around people that are negative because you already people bring more negativity. It makes it worse.
yes. And it is very important that we do have people to talk to. We do have someone within our circle that will be able to provide a support, or even just be an ear or be a shoulder for us to
Right.
lean on without being judgmental.
You don't even have to talk, just listen. You know,
Correct.
if a lot of times I wish I just had someone just to listen, and just because that person is telling you negative or telling you their business or their desires or wants or what they're not getting in life doesn't mean they're asking you for anything. It means they're venting and they have to get it out, because if they hold it all in, it's not only going to cause them to keep that depression going, but for me, it caused me to have a stroke as
Mhm.
well because I was so stressed out. So,
The last time you tried attempting suicide, what method did you use?
um, I consumed a lot of pain pills.
And how did that experience impacted you?
I don't know. I was on the phone with you and I got off because I had let you keep my daughter so she could not be around me going through what I was going through, and missing my mom. And I got to thinking about how things would be different if my mom was still living.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I got cheated. She
Mm-hmm.
wasn't there and I needed her, and everything else was going on. So I just started taking them one at a time, just one at a time. And the next thing I remember, I was in the hospital in the psychiatric ward,
Mm-hmm.
and they did some treatments and everything. And the first thing they said was, "You're not crazy. You just, you have a lot going on. You need to change some things, get away from some people, and, start over, live your life." So that's what I'm trying to do. And
Yeah.
whenever I feel bogged down or I have some negativity around me, I tend to walk away from it now. And I just don't want to be a part of it. I don't care if it's family, friends, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If you tend to try to bring me down, I take control of the situation by getting rid of the problem.
Mason ran away from my husband to find me.
Hi, Granny. Hi, Granny.
Say hi. Hi. Are you saying hi? Yes. Hi. Let me daddy. Give me 1 minute.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing that story, Miss Cynthia.
Yes.
What would help you feel or think more positively um, about a hopeful future?
Um, well, for me, my um, turnaround was, like I say, I pray more, I meditate more, and I just every time a negative thought come in my head, I automatically turn it around and just start thinking of something positive.
Mhm. Yes,
And
because
I
the
think
mind,
about my daughter and where she would really be if I wasn't here.
yes, I'm listening to you, but I'm just watching my son like running from my husband to come back here. Yes, and it's great that you're thinking of your daughter and you're thinking about your importance in her life, and you're very important in sharing this world with us. And I will continue saying it throughout this video and throughout our calls that thank you very much for sharing this earth with us. We really appreciate you here. What happened in we spoke about when your last attempt and what method you used. But sometimes people have many reasons for harming themselves, in addition to what we described. What might have been some of
I
those
can't hear
reasons?
you.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Now, what did you say?
Okay. So sometimes people have different reasons as to why they want to attempt suicide. Can you tell us like some of the reasons why people, because you did share some of your stories as to your your mom passing away, your relationship with your family. Can you also share additional reasons as to why someone would want to commit suicide?
Well, like I said, it's a lot of different triggers. Some people can't even handle rejection, as far as like if they have a mate or something, and they fall out or whatever, and they feel like it's their fault. They'll go to thinking about suicide because they feel like, okay, I can't do anything right. This person will be better off without me, or I can't live without this person. You know, if I don't have this, then I'm not going to make it. Like I kind of felt like when my mom died that I wasn't going to make it, you know, because it was a hard pill to swallow. She was there with me for everything. And to lose her unexpectedly, even though she was of age, I still felt cheated. And I couldn't pick up the phone and call her if I had a problem. I couldn't pick up the phone and get her to help me figure out the situation. And a lot of times we say we have friends, but you don't. There's no one really to talk to because everybody think you want something.
So, so with your current because right now you with living with depression, this is an everyday thing. Are there any
Yes.
resources within the community that you're aware of that can provide some form of support?
Well, like I said, as far as myself, the church I attend, they have grief counseling and different things. You can also, if you don't want to go to a doctor or something and get some help medically, they have outreach programs that you can go to and, you know, get a sponsor to help you through certain situations.
Yes, and there's also the national hotline for suicide prevention.
Right,
I believe each state should be having their own hotline for suicide prevention. And once we're done, I will also look up some of those phone numbers and contact information for anyone who wishes to reach out to them.
right.
In regards to prevention, if there were any measurements or any steps that you would advise someone to take or to follow to help prevent any thoughts from developing or to help reduce the even the thought of attempting suicide from developing, what would that be?
Um, Stay focused on your goals, stay busy. Don't let um, reality, your reality, take a toll on you. Um, Always, think of a brighter side of every situation instead of, just saying, this is it, this is all I have. And honestly, like I said, the main thing that's helping me through is knowing that my mom was a praying person. And so I had to, go back to that, and get myself right with God and know that He has me no matter what.
Mhm. Yes, and you did make mention a few times about the importance of spirituality or the importance of praying.
Hmm.
Regardless of what religion a person may be, what faith they may be, being able to communicate or pray depending on your belief, then this is also one way for you to help reduce depression, help be able
Right.
to strengthen you because it's spiritual nourishment.
Right. I mean, whoever that you pray to. If you have that faith, um, then that's who you pray to. I mean, I can't knock it, but
Hmm.
I know it works. I know me sometimes listening to music or gospel or just regular R&B or something, it'll pull me out of a slump. It'll get me back on track. Because it's something uplifting and positive instead of something. The worst thing you can do when you're feeling that way is get some blues and put on or something more depressing because it just makes you
Hmm.
sink deeper into the situation.
Yes. So yes, the music that we listen to is very important because they do have depressing music. Even
Hmm.
the videos that we watch, our Facebook feed or social media feed, the movies we watch, all that has a very important part to play with the level of depression. And
Hmm.
talking on my behalf is that I do not watch any movie that is depressing because
Right,
I'm not able to handle anything that I cannot change.
right. And
So just knowing yourself.
that's the whole thing with depression because you're battling with the fact that you can't change things that you want to change instead of accepting the fact that you can't change them and the things that you can change you will. We just, I mean, it doesn't register like that.
Yes. So in regards to, and earlier on, so now I'm going to talk about prevention, where it falls on the bullying and where it falls on the other forms of, especially with the youth now. The
Hmm.
struggles in which the youth are facing right now is it's at a different level in which we as when we were children or when we were youth have gone through.
Right.
They have social media, they have an intensified amount of bullying and anger that goes on among each other. what
Correct.
advice what advice would you suggest to the educators and the community agencies that work with youth that that have a hand to play in helping reduce those things or being aware as to when something is happening?
Well, as a parent, just pay attention to your child so you know um, how they're acting and how they feel. And those signs, when you see those signs, you can recognize them. Um, as far as with my daughter's situation, the young lady that was bullying her, she went as far as going on my oldest daughter's social media page, her Facebook page, everything trying to find my daughter, stalking her. And once she found her, then she started asking her questions and come to find out it was all over a young boy that was my daughter's best friend. And the little girl liked him. And she ended up jumping my daughter and we had to take her for emergency surgery. So she that kept her down and she didn't want to go back to school. She didn't want to go outside. She just was non-compliant to anything.
Yeah. Can you share with us what was the result of the physical assault that your daughter received? What bodily harm did she receive?
Um, what bodily harm did my daughter receive?
Yes, because she had emergency surgery.
Right. Well, they were in gym, and the little girl stood over my daughter as she was picking up her glasses. And when my daughter looked up at her, they say, jumped up and punched her in the face with all her might and knocked her tooth out of her mouth. And they had to do emergency surgery to replace her tooth back in her mouth.
Yes. And this is the reason why I asked you to share it is because I think it's very important that everyone that the children and the youth come across has an important part to play. And I cannot
Right.
repeat that over and over. It is very, we all have an important part to play in helping reduce bullying because
Yes.
bullying do lead to depression, do lead to anxiety, and do lead to suicidal ideation and suicidal attempts. So do not take it lightly. If a child comes or a student come and say, "Hey, so and so is teasing," we need to take that seriously. We
Right.
need to find methods or ways for us to handle those situations before they escalate.
Yeah. It was easy for us because Shani is a bubbly kind of child. She's always outgoing and laughing all the time, and she had got to a point where she was quiet. She would just sit on the couch or stay in the bed or whatever, and she didn't want to do anything. So I noticed it, and she wouldn't talk to me at first. So I got her brother to come over and talk to her, and they went driving, and she told him everything, including how she was cutting her wrist.
Hmm. Yes, and that's very good that you were able to contact your other child who will be able to step in and she'll be
Right,
able to open up because the youth will not, majority of the time will not open up to their parents or will not open up to adults. They will open up to other youth themselves.
right,
So it is also important, while we might not want our children to be around negative influence, it is also important that we expose our children to positive influence and be able to know who their friends are, invite their friends
right.
over. So that was very good that your son was able to step in and figure out what was going on and help guide her in expressing herself.
Right.
In regards to intervention, what are some of the resources that are out there for individuals who have attempted suicide? Because
As far as what?
some of the resources out there, knowing that you have gone through suicidal attempts, what were some of the resources that were out there for you once you left the hospital or once you left the location?
Well, um, like I said, I went to counseling, and along with being placed on antidepressants and anxiety medicine, um, I went to counseling for a little while, and then that plus my pastor at my church, and then just realizing that I had to let go of some things, you know, and my siblings was one of the things I had to let go of. You know, you may love your family, but sometimes you have to let them go because if they're not a positive influence on you or out for your best interest, then I mean,
Yeah,
you can't deal with it. Not
yeah.
being suffering with depression. Not I wouldn't want to deal with it if I wasn't suffering from depression.
Yeah, and that's very important that you say because at the end of the day, just because someone is your relative, that doesn't mean they are positive to be around or they
Right.
motivate you. So you have to figure out who you should be around because sometimes a stranger would be better for you to be around than your family themselves. So
That's,
know who you should be around.
yeah.
In regards to opportunities, in regards to, because after you went through your trials, you didn't just stay down, you continue suffering of depression every day of your life. And you wake up and you go to work.
Hmm.
What are some of the opportunities that you do that or opportunities that you create for yourself to help empower you?
Some of the opportunities that I what?
Some of the opportunities that help empower you. So whether it is I know you spoke about church, but whether also working with your daughter, anything that help empower you on a daily basis.
Yes. I find that like when I was in Shreveport, working and helping others helped me because it motivates me to kind of get the concentration off myself and my problems. And I'm a people person for the most part, so I like if anyone come to me and I can bless them with some service or whatever, I'll do it. And that helps me because that's another day that's went by and I haven't thought about anything crazy, or I haven't had time to think about what made me depressed that morning, or whatever the case may be.
Hmm. So, is there anything that you want to say to our viewers and those listening?
Um, no, I'm noticing a lot of them I went to school with, so they're getting an earful. But just know that depression is not to be played with. If somebody tells you that they're unhappy about a situation, or if you notice that they're doing something that they normally wouldn't do, or they have alienated themselves from society, um, like maybe they were going out a lot and all of a sudden they don't want to go out, they don't want to be bothered with people, they won't answer your phone calls. It's time for you to reach out to them and not um, nurture the problem, but help nurture the solution. Meaning, take them out to dinner and say, I'm here for you. I want to talk. What do you want to talk to me about? What can I help you with? I noticed that you're having a hard time dealing with some things. I'm here for you. Don't go slamming them down by saying, you always got issues, you always got problems. That doesn't help them because they're having a hard enough time trying to figure out themselves why they have that issue or why the problem is so severe for them when it's simple for other people.
Yeah. And Miss Cynthia, it has taken you a lot of courage for you to come forth and for you to share your story with us. And storytelling is very, very important because people are able to connect with you. People are able to understand what's going on. And I really want to take that time to thank you very much for being a part of this talk and sharing with everyone. And because I know you're a very religious person, I have a special song for you.
When Jesus says yes, nobody can say no. When Jesus says yes, nobody can say no. I'm not worried about a thing, 'cause I know you are guiding me. Where you lead me, Lord, I will go. I have no fear 'cause I know who's in control. There's no limit to what you can do 'cause it all belongs to you. Yes, it all belongs to you. You're almighty and all powerful, and it all belongs to you. Yes, it all belongs to you. When Jesus says yes, nobody can say no. 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 I'm not worried about a thing, 'cause I know you are guiding me.
So, Miss Cynthia, I want to thank you so, so much for joining in, sharing your story with us.
Yes.
And as time goes by, as you know, I will continue checking upon you and calling you 4 o'clock in the morning to make sure you're okay.
Keep me
So,
lifted up with your positive attitude. You are an inspiration. If we had more people like you, Alice, it would be a much better world. You think of nothing negative. You're always positive no matter what.
it's always my pleasure. And thank you very much for sharing this earth with me.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, love to you.
Love you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye bye.